Excellent. Good. I think we're actually live, Rupert, after some technical issues backstage. True to form, we aim for 8 o'clock and we're just slightly after 8 o'clock, but it's all good. We're there. So, Rupert, top local Harpenden tennis pro. It's a big title.
It's a big title you've given me.
Big title.
Big title.
So, Rupert, tell me, so you've just started this company, Kitbag Coaching. So what's that all about to start with?
So it's a completely new platform online. So it's a way of getting tennis coaching at any time. So even if you're not at the club, you might be away on business, at home, and it's particularly through winter. And that's really where the idea came about. So it's where you're not able to access regular tennis coaching. So it might be because of inclement weather. Maybe your coach is away for a period of time. Maybe you just can't get down to the club for whatever reason. I mean, especially obviously at the moment, we've got that scenario completely unforeseen. But there are times when you just can't access that actual on-court high quality coaching. And at some clubs you just don't have high quality coaching. Full stop. So what this gives pretty much anyone anywhere is the ability to access that affordable, accessible, high class.
Brilliant. So let's see, if you just joined us, you're tuning into myself, Stephen McInday from Perfect Balance Clinic, and I've been joined by the fabulous Rupert from Kitbag Coaching. And Rupert, you coach locally, don't you, in Harpenden?
Yeah, so I'm based at Elliswick full time. Again, obviously, right now we're not on court at all, but usually 7 days a week. Great little club, fantastic membership base. Also now the men's captain there, so very involved in that. No, it's nice. A great club.
Good stuff. So you mentioned the club's closed at the moment, didn't you? So obviously the coronavirus has affected you quite hard as well, and probably a lot of local tennis players as well. So what options have people got with regards to local tennis? I see a lot of stuff online now for stuff that you can do at home for tennis.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there. So the first thing is there's no point avoiding it. There's a lot of free content online. But the problem with this is a lot of it is contradictory to what you will be told by your coach. And also it's quite misleading. And a lot of it, I feel, as someone who's watched it myself, it's actually aimed at quite high level players. I think a lot of the online stuff, people take it out of context and they forget who they're actually talking to.
Yeah.
So for a lot of club level players or beginners, it can be quite misleading and actually completely irrelevant. So what we try and do is, not dull it down, but we're still giving that sort of essential advice, but without the jargon, without the over coaching. I mean, anyone out there who's already had tennis coaching, I would ask you to sort of think and if you've got a good coach, which I'm sure you have, they will teach you one, maybe two things per session, and they will work on that for an hour. So if they're doing that in person with you, there's a reason for it. You cannot teach a whole shot in an hour in person. Yeah. All right. So I don't know what people expect when they try and learn a whole shot in half an hour in one video online. All right. So that's where I would sort of say that's where you should be going.
Rupert, so how did you've obviously been a tennis player for a long time and then also now coaching, but how did you get into tennis and why did you choose tennis? Why not football? Because I've seen your skills on the football court, on the tennis court, and you're doing a little kick-up and stuff. Yeah, the kids love it.
I haven't. So
for those of you that don't know at home, Rupert actually coaches my two sons, Hugo and Ralph, at the Elliswick Tennis Club, but he's often showing off to all the mums that have come to bring their kids down.
This is great. This is a great story.
Great.
It's great story now.
Has that got any reason to do with you getting into tennis? Why did you get into tennis?
So that's not why I got into tennis. Actually, I got into tennis. I played badminton. You've thrown me now, mate. I played badminton when I started secondary school, and I took to it quite quickly. Right. I was always good with hand-eye. Always throwing a ball around at home, playing swing ball, bouncing balls around, throwing them. My sister, she was always in her books. I was always, playing sport, but throwing balls and stuff. So I got into badminton, and then I got bored of that very quickly. There was a local tennis club, which they just moved to a new centre at Letchworth. So I went there, and I got into it quite late. So I was about 13, 14 when I started playing tennis. But within a year and a half of almost spending every day there, cycling up there, getting on the hitting wall, practicing baskets to serve, watching players, I got into coaching quite quickly, quite early on. So I was coaching, and then I was doing one-to-one lessons by sort of 16 while I was getting my qualifications. So, and that's credit to who was around. I had a fantastic team around me who I can't thank enough. Some really top coaches. Shout out Steve Shea, John Garland actually as well. So as a sort of an ambassador.
Johnny Garland used to coach me when I was a junior as well. So I started when I was about 4. How old was I? I must have been 14 when I first started playing tennis.
Very good.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah, so no, John was a great ambassador for the sport. And so that's what I try and pass on now to especially the children, is try and get them involved, playing as much as possible, and things like that, because that's the only way I got into it. At 10, 11, I hadn't even picked up a racket. So you need people like that, I think, to encourage the next generation, but also to get people who are sort of on the cusp of being really involved, to actually get them really involved and get them playing often, and potentially looking at other routes like coaching and officiating and things like that.
Yeah. So we're actually going to be having a look at Roger Federer's backhand shortly, aren't we, as well, and just breaking it down. So
I mistook it for yours, Steve, when we were going over this.
People could get a good idea of kind of what it takes and how much detail goes into the aspects of tennis coaching. It's quite a complicated thing, isn't it? It's not just about feeding the balls back over and over again on the court, right?
It's a technical sport. There's no denying that. But again, I come back to that point where I think a lot of people, or it can be overcoached in terms of some people try and get too technical with things that you don't need to, and then they end up not progressing as fast as they could. So it's a technical sport, but it's got to be broken down, and it's about learning the right thing at the right time when it comes to improving your technique. So it's very important to always be looking out for the most important thing to work on at the right time, because it's like cause and effect. So you don't want to focus on the effect that's happening. You want to try and find the cause of that, similar to what you do with injury, rehabilitation and things. You're trying to find the cause to stop that injury, not only on day one, but a year down the line. So it's very similar to that, the process that I follow. And again, that's come from some top coaches who I was lucky enough to put the work in myself and shadow them and watch the sessions, but I had some really good people to learn from. So it makes a difference having the right support network around you, doesn't it? No, it's massive.
So one of the things that so obviously I'm an osteopath, and we have some musculoskeletal clinics in Hertfordshire, Beds and Cames in London. But one of the key things that we see a lot of, because of where we're based inside the David Lloyd's clubs, there's a lot of people that play tennis there. And there's a lot of injuries that occur with tennis players. And obviously from my coaching background and from my playing background as well, it's quite a good thing to be able to have that knowledge, to be able to look at where injuries kind of break down. But you deal with things from like that side, but also the performance side as well. So how to make things better, right?
Yeah. Firstly, on that note, with things like tennis elbow, I think it's it can be such a vast range of causes and sort of aggravators in terms of making it worse as well. Now, equipment is definitely one. Having your racket strung too tight, having the wrong racket for you, too heavy, too light, too big a grip, too small a grip, but also technique is massive. In the same way that running in the wrong way will aggravate parts of your body and cause injuries, you'll get referred pain. It's same with tennis with technique. So it's a very physically demanding sport. The actions we use, especially the serve, it's not a natural motion. We're not designed to do that, so we shouldn't be doing it potentially as much as we do. But if we're going to do it as much as we do, we should be doing it the right way, or as best as we possibly can to try and avoid any sort of aggravation of the shoulder and the shoulder joint.
So when you're coaching, and with the Kitbag Coaching model that you've created, do you follow a particular philosophy of tennis coaching? Because you just talked about making things as natural and effortless as possible there, but do you have kind of that in mind when you're coaching people? What kind of model do you have in your head?
It depends client to client. What we've done with Kitbag is, over the 10 years of coaching I've done, seeing a huge range of players, what I've done is, for each shot we've put together a program of the key fundamental parts of the techniques, and then we've broken them up so they each have their own individual video, and it's very, very to the point. You learn the skill, you practice that skill, you get it right, and you move on to the next one. So in terms of that, that's the structure we're going for. When I'm on court with someone, I think, like I say, it depends person to person. But yeah, I mean, tennis, like you know, is a very individual sport. So some people, you know, don't even want to do technical work. Some people will just want to hit balls. So that changes a little bit.
Yeah,
when it comes to one-to-one.
Should we get Rog in? Let's have a look at Rog, shall we?
Roger, where have you come?
Roger, let's get Roger up.
He's here.
He's here.
Here he is.
There's the big man.
It's looking good.
So this, I think it was at Melbourne, wasn't it, this one? There we go, Melbourne Australian Open.
So, I mean, straight away, I was going to say just then, I forgot. So with technique as well, you've got fundamentals and you've got styles. So I would, you know, style is how it looks. That's individual sort of flair, if you like. And all the pros even have very, very different styles. You haven't got to be a tennis player to recognize that. You've just got to look at them. Even, you know, as simple as Roger plays a one-handed backhand, Djokovic plays a two-handed backhand. But then the way they hit those balls as well, if you analyse Roger's backhand to Richard Gasquet's backhand, also one hand, Stan Wawrinka's backhand, also one hand, and Dominic Thiem, they've all got different one-handed backhands. But what we focus on, or what we focus on at Kitbag, and is what should be focused on, is the fundamentals. So even though they might look different, the fundamentals of that swing are going to be the same. So they've all got certain sort of checkpoints in that they have to make that backhand work. And that's the same with all the shots. And that's what we focus on the courses at Kitbag. So, and that's why it's something that can be done from home for anyone really. So you've all got your own styles, but as long as you get those 12 or 13 fundamentals in, then you're going to be okay. So we're having a look at Roger here. I mean, the first thing we'll look at, obviously we'll work through it sort of in the right order, is his setup. So obviously he's got a really good ready position. He's only warming up here by the looks of it. He's sort of hitting probably pre-match, but you can see he's got a good ready position. And then that initial unit turn. So he's getting that right shoulder across his body. And you can see the high setup as well there. So the racket head is above the handle. So the racket's almost vertical at this point. And you can't really see from this angle, but what he's doing there is pulling the racket head itself towards him slightly. So the racket head is
talking about this area here.
Yes. Well, the racket head is actually closer to him than the handle.
Right. So this distance here and the handle being here. Exactly. Perfect. So this is all to store power, so that when he initiates that racket head drop in a second, he's got a longer acceleration, a smoother acceleration. Now that's important because what that means is he's going to get power, but he's going to get controlled power because it's a long acceleration. So what we don't want to do is start with the racket head just behind the contact point and then snatch at the ball. You can see here from where he starts to accelerate there through to the contact is a very long, smooth acceleration. So it's not only, like I say, controlled, but it's going to be efficient and he's not overusing his body. So in terms of injury prevention, Roger's a fantastic example. He's gone pretty much his whole career with, you know, no major injuries. Obviously, age has got the better of him recently. He's taken time off. He's skipped the clay court season, but in terms of players at the top, when you compare him to Nadal with all of his joint injuries and Murray, obviously, and Del Potro, again, a classic example there of someone who's been sort of scathed with injury. Roger has pretty much got through scot-free, which is, you know, I think personally massively down to not only his team around him and his stretching, but his technique. So you're looking at his shoulder there. Yeah. You see his chin is almost on his right shoulder. So this is a teaching point I use a lot on the backhand. And that's the same for one and two-handed backhand. So we're looking for those shoulders to really turn and load on the way back. That's the same from a beginner through to an advanced player. That's a fundamental, like it's a fundamental part of that technique. And again, it's all about storing power from the right sources. So when he does unleash on the way forwards, power's coming. What would you say about his kind of foot position here and the weight transference? Because he looks like he's leaning into the ball just before he's hitting the ball. Yes. And his shoulder's obviously dropping down to get lower to that point there. So you can see everything's in sync. He's going down, and he'll be going down with the ball. Roger stands quite close to the baseline. For those of you that take the ball on the rise,
play quite a hard hitting game. He stands quite close and takes it on the rise. You can see he's extending up, not only through the knees but through the body as well there on the finish, and that's important so that he gets rhythm. So he's working, his whole body's in sync together. And again, this is something we can take away as beginners or intermediates, even at club level. And you can actually start to put into your game straight away simple things like a knee bend. It does wonders, not only in terms of rhythm and timing, but also obviously generating height, because you're starting from a lower point and finishing at a higher point. So you're coming up the back of the ball more, and obviously power, that explosive movement in one of your biggest muscle groups, the legs. So it's a very simple but effective technique.
One of the things that I noticed with Roger is that he does have a very unusual finish, doesn't he? Which for a beginner tennis player, you're just not going to be able to achieve that. So I think looking at the Kitbag model that you've created, you kind of take that into consideration, don't you? That although you want to coach in a certain way and create or emulate some of these top players in terms of the technical elements of it, you're trying to coach them in a very safe way, which I think is why I like the model that you created, because it's not going to lead to injuries. It's going to gain the performance but reduce the injury risk. So
yeah, I mean, again, and this is why I know we're doing it here. We're doing it, he's hitting a slow ball, and we're doing it for the right reasons. But I'm not a massive fan of people that purely focus on analysing pros, when they're hitting match standard forehands and backhands, and they try and teach beginners with that, because it's just not relevant. So you've spoken about his finish there and how he's opening the chest up. Well, that's, I know what you were sort of implying. And Roger finishes in a very open position with his chest pointing down the court there. Even sort of high level club players, I don't teach that to. So I teach them to isolate that arm, pulling the left arm. You can see his left arm comes back, but trying to keep the chest side onto the court. So the reason for that is control. Obviously, if you can rotate through there, fantastic. But the timing of that is a very, very big movement. So to time is going to be tricky. And obviously our first power source is good timing. All right. So there's no point swinging at 100 miles an hour looking for the biggest swing possible if you can't time it, and you're not finding the sweet spot and your muscles aren't firing at the right time. Yeah. And the other thing with that is injury. So, his obliques there are working, his pec minor, everything in his shoulder and his chest is working. His body is obviously, working at full capacity there. But you've got to remember, this is probably one of the top 10 conditioned athletes of all time, you could argue, in the world. So now
in terms of conditioning, plus we'd include flexibility and endurance.
Oh, massively. I mean, you can almost guarantee he's spending over 10 hours a week doing just yoga, stretching, rolling, and things like that, if not longer. That recovery. So we're not, most club players aren't even doing an hour of that a week. So not only is he arguably the greatest of all time, he is still to this day putting the work in every week to be able to play those shots to that sort of standard. So there are certain things which we would avoid.
38, 39?
I think he's 39 this year, isn't he?
Yeah, he's quite old in tennis player standards.
Almost as old as you, Steve. He's almost as old as you. Did you cut out there? He is old, but when's he going to stop? So I can see him. If he keeps playing the way he is, potentially winning a slam. Again, you've got to look at Djokovic's team in that final last year. Team got so close. Again, they all keep getting close, but Djokovic, Nadal, and Roger, they just have that mental strength, and I think that's what really pulls them apart from Zverev. Obviously Kyrgios on mentality, that goes without saying, but Zverev team, these guys who are coming through, Medvedev. So it's just being in a final situation in front of that crowd and having knowing that you are a champion and you can win that match even from 2 sets down. So I think he could still be around for a few years, and he could still be winning for a few years. I hope so.
Very interesting.
Just don't know.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So there's quite a high injury risk in high rate of injuries in tennis. Would you say there's like top injuries that you'd see on a regular basis on the court from your side, apart from tennis elbow, which is obviously probably the main injury that you see?
Yeah, so tennis elbow and sort of tendonitis in the arm, and those joints. I think probably the biggest one is from a lack of decent equipment. So wearing the wrong shoes would be a massive one. So the one time I've rolled my ankle on a tennis court, ironically, I mean, I've done it, I've gone over on my ankle, but I haven't rolled it properly. But I did my ligaments about 10 years ago. It's the one time I've ever played in running shoes. All right. So I would preach to people before I did this. I preached to people, don't wear running shoes, don't wear running shoes. Tennis shoes, netball shoes are similar, but don't wear running shoes. Reason being, they haven't got the sideways stability running shoes. They're not designed for you to move side to side at pace, in explosive movements. So I think that's probably the most common one. Knees going as well, especially in slightly more mature player. Again, that side movement where knees buckle or weaken, sort of the ligaments in the knee can some issues.
From your point of view, would you say a lot of those injuries are preventable tennis injuries?
Massively. And again, I think it's a maybe a lack of knowledge, maybe a lack of publicity. Maybe we need to, as coaches, I mean, I always make sure people have got tennis shoes on because I know the damage you can do. But I think maybe even sort of governing bodies and things would really sort of scream at home as the one thing. We spend 200 quid on a racket, yet people, playing 40 quid.
Is that how much they are now? I've still got you've seen my rackets, haven't you?
I have seen your rackets. They're almost as old as you. And they
are black rackets. They're pretty old.
They're pre-wood, they are.
Pre-wood. What, 15 years old, probably?
And
at least still going strong.
Yeah,
still going strong. Take some points off you, my man.
Did they? What was the score? Should we go into that, Steve?
We won't go into that, shall we?
I didn't talk about that.
Excellent. So we've come up with two things, haven't we? So we've got two things to really talk about to help prevent injuries. One of them is your fantastic Kitbag coaching. The other one is the courses that we're going to be running to help educate people on proper technique, fitness, conditioning, which are all actually going to be online as well through the clinic. But we'll talk about Kitbag coaching first, if that's okay. So what's the goal with Kitbag coaching? What would you say the purpose of it is long term?
For us, long term,
is
to, I think, have a product that offers a genuine answer to accessible, affordable online tennis coaching at any time. And I think it just comes from me, even as a player years ago, looking at stuff on YouTube and trying to find stuff. And again, like I said, it's all very much, I don't think half the people coaching online are coaches to start with. I mean, some of the stuff I've seen is horrific, but it's the same with anything. I like to cook, and you go online, look at cooking stuff and things. Some of it's shocking. There's some great stuff and there's some fantastic stuff, but some of it is the complete opposite. And I think as a casual tennis player or as someone who plays once or twice a week, it's hard to recognize that. Now, obviously, as coaches, we recognize that, and you can sift through the sort of the not so good stuff, and you can find the really good stuff, the quality stuff, and use that to sort of get ideas and bounce ideas off other coaches. But I think for the average player, it's hard to know that. So I think that's what I want, is something that I would have wanted when I was a kid growing up. I'd love to have something where someone can go and there's a purpose to everything on the website, and there's coaches at the back end of it who, if you have a query and you want to challenge something on the website, they will be able to justify that within a second. So it's one of the biggest things I learned as a young coach. I remember one of the coaches I worked with, Steve, and he said to me, whatever you do, always be able to justify what you're doing on court or, online. And it makes, and it's so true. I'd hate to do something for the sake of doing it. Everything we do at Kitbag has a purpose, and also it's in the right order for you guys to learn at the right time. So I think that's the main thing. I just want a quality product out there that people can access anytime, any place, anywhere. That's
brilliant. So we can actually have a look at the members area, can't we, in Kitbag Coaching? So people can see a little bit about what they get. So this is kind of mainly the description. It's pretty cheap, Rupert.
Yeah, I mean, it's about how you value things. So, I mean, one-to-one lesson in person can be upwards of 50, 60 quid. In London, around here, you pay between 30 and 40 pounds easily. Now that one-to-one lesson, don't get me wrong, as a coach myself, there's no replacement for that directly, because that's why we do what we do. But this is the closest thing to that you're going to get. And again, I come back to that point because a lot of you might look at it and go, but it's the same for every person on there. It's not specific to me. That's where the whole idea of basing on fundamentals comes in, and not styles. Those fundamentals need to be in everybody's game. You can't argue with those. They are the fundamentals of those techniques. They have to be there for it to work well.
These are the different areas that you have, right, of the program. So you've got some drills in there: fitness, technical, mindset, movement, and recovery.
Yep. So we've got all those.
And you got that on there for each particular area of the tennis serve, right, or backhand, or?
Yeah, correct. So there's still some content to go up, but obviously, filming got cut short. But what we have got there is a great sort of starter pack of courses available now. So
that's great. And is this the actual quality of the videos inside?
Yeah, and some are better. So yeah,
brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Should we see if we can get in?
Let's try and get in. It's where you've got to show how smooth it works, Steve. Seamless.
Let's have a look. So what's the vision with Kitbag? What are you going to be doing over the next kind of year, 2 years?
I think the main thing is controlling the quality at first. So it's something we've worked on, hard on. Don't get me wrong. I couldn't speak on camera to start with, literally stuttering like sort of an apprentice news reporter, I guess. So it was something I had to adapt to doing. So we got there eventually after enough practice runs, and then we got the content filmed. So, but keeping that quality, always looking for feedback from you guys who do, who use the site. Great, give us any feedback you've got, because it will be taken on board and used to better the product. But I think, controlling the quality is the main thing, because like I said, that's the whole vision of why we started it, was to have something accessible, year round, whether someone has a coach or not. And I don't, I wouldn't want it to run away and, grow sort of exponentially too quickly and become just another online tennis platform. That's what I think puts us apart, is that, like I say, there's care and thought that's gone into each package.
Great. So these are all the programs that you've got inside this is just a beginner, so isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Great. So there's a lot of programs in there that are going to be filmed and going to be done there. So, and each program's got about 14, 15 sections to it.
Yeah, so they vary. Some from, I think the lowest is 12, some up to 15, and again where we've got 12 is just a course where there are only, there are less fundamental parts, and we're not gonna overcoach you for the sake of it, just to fill courses, to fill more videos. That's, like I say, it's against our core values there. We're going to teach you what you need to know, the way you need to learn it at the right time. So there is a bit of difference in some courses. Let's have a look.
Introduction to the adult serve. So we'll see if the quality.
I can barely recognise myself there, Steve. I've actually got some hair.
Okay, hi guys. So Rupert here from Kitbag Coaching. Welcome to the serve course. Okay, so in this course, just a few things we're going to cover. We're going to cover the grip. We're going to cover the ball toss, rhythm.
Excellent. So they're all like pretty good quality videos, right?
Yeah. I mean, we had the mics on, we had the lighting and everything. So thankfully we had some nice weather. But cold, I think, for the most part. Hence the joggers.
But... welcome back. Okay, so the grip.
Yeah, brilliant, really nice. Makes you want to get my rackets out and dust them off right now.
Makes me want to get a wig.
Brilliant. So, Rupert, the second thing is that we're going to be running some courses with you, aren't we?
Sorry,
so
mate.
Perfect Balance and Coaching have kind of joined forces to provide some courses over the Easter break and the rest of the isolation period. So what's the main aim of those courses from your point of view, Rupes?
So those courses, first of all, I'm very excited for them. We've done a few sort of test runs and they were fantastic. The kids seem to love it. I've certainly enjoyed it. I got a bit of a workout first thing in the morning, so that was good. Basically, we're looking for sort of, the most, some people's favourite sort of courses. So cardio tennis sessions for one, both for the adults, and we're going to do a juniors one. We've also got a serving clinic, where I think, obviously, as most of you will know, the serve is a pretty tough shot at the best of times with certain parts which can really take some time to master, like the ball toss. So we've got those, and then we've also got kids groups where each day we'll be doing a different shot. So Monday forehand, Tuesday backhand, so on and so on. And I think there's a few more as well. And then obviously you've got your kids, there's Pilates and all sorts. So yeah, pretty good program.
Yeah, it's good. So, I mean, the real benefit to us as a clinic is that we're looking to help bring awareness to really prevent injuries and also look at improving people's performance when it comes to certain aspects of tennis, whether it be fitness or just ball skills for the little kids, and also for the adults working on more conditioning-based work to help improve some of their movement around the court, because I guess that's quite a big cause of injuries, isn't it? Just getting to the ball as quick as they could do and overstretching and getting injuries as a result of that, so not having proper form.
Yeah, I think the movement's an interesting one. So like you say, if they try and get there too quick, they can pull muscles and all sorts, especially if they don't warm up properly. Yeah. But ironically, the other side of that is if they get there too slow and they're not in the right position, they're then asking a lot of their body to, they're trying to hit the shot they wanted to hit, but they're not in the right position. So they're overstretching. The shoulder and the deltoid is stressed more than it should be. Certain things like that, they're not able to use their hips and the core. So movement is obviously, I think, as we all know, a massive part of tennis and pretty much all sports, but tennis it's the biggest part.
Brilliant. So obviously it's getting me very excited because I used to play a bit of tennis myself, so it's nice to be able to go back to the roots, as it were, and just introduce the tennis concept and fitness in particular to the clients of Perfect Balance Clinic, and there's external people in the local communities that want to join in as well. But Rupert, you've got some special offers, haven't you, for Kitbag Coaching over the Easter weekend?
So the initial course on the website, the service course, all right, so we're going to get your serves working, hopefully better than mine by the end of that course. And that at the moment is only £2.80. So that is, last time I checked, before lockdown, price of a coffee. So it's not a lot. See that little prop? Yeah. There's nothing in it. I've been drinking from an empty cup for an hour. I need it. I'm tired. So price of a coffee, £2.80 at the moment for that first course. All right, like I said, 14 videos in there, really breaking it down. Now, if you want to have a little sneak peek at the sort of content that's in there and the sort of detail and the way I teach, over on our Instagram at the moment, I'm actually doing an Easter weekender ball toss 4-part special. So today was the first part, so have a look at that. Tomorrow you'll get part 2, Sunday part 3, Monday part 4. But that is just a little idea of how I teach the ball toss, and you can hopefully understand the concept and get in my way of thinking. I'm sure you'll relate to it because it is a very simple but effective way of doing it. That's going to be basically just 2 videos out of the 14, so you can see the sort of quality and quantity you get for your coffee, for your price of a coffee there. Just by heading over to our Instagram, having a little sneak peek. But don't wait till Monday night, because from Tuesday that is going up. All right, so it is an Easter special to get that for £2.80.
Jump in there quickly, people.
Jump in there quick.
Both feet in. Excellent. Good stuff. Good. So, Rupert, we'll put the link up to Kitbag Coaching in the description box below this video on the Facebook page. And if anyone would like any more information about anything we've been talking about tonight, Rupert's email address we can put up as well, and we can send him any comments and get him to reply back to you directly personally, so that you can answer him. You can ask him and he can answer you with some of the questions that you might have about your own technique or anything tennis related, I guess, as well. So that's quite exciting to have that on tap as well. And if you'd love to join in with the classes, or you've got kids that love to come to the fitness classes and the kids movement classes, then we'll also put a link in the description box below. And please sign up. I think the first session is free. So come along, try it out, see how you get on. Hopefully you'll love it and you'll want to come back for some more. But if you don't, tell us and we can improve it just for you. So we'd love to get that feedback as well. So we're open to the feedback. If you've liked what you've seen tonight, we are on every night. I've actually got Stan the Man coming in tomorrow night, and he's going to do his second part health series about how to run quicker. So I think tomorrow night we are talking about coming back from injury and how to make that all-important recovery and transition back from injury as well. So I'm really looking forward to that. It's very exciting. But for now, it's bye-bye from me.
And goodbye from me as well.
Bye from Rupert, Kitbag Coaching. Look it up, guys. See you later. See you later.